From the mind of Gennedy Tartakovsky comes a new animated series, a lifetime in the making. Unicorn Warriors Eternal, premiering May 4th at midnight on Adult Swim.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering Gennedy Tartakovsky's latest series, Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Yes, this series follows a trio of fantasy warriors whose souls are placed in new bodies throughout centuries as they battle the evil entity whenever it rises. Yes, that sounds fantastical, and it is.
Yeah.
However, mishaps occur, causing the warriors to be placed in the wrong bodies.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and Pause videos.
Absolutely. So, yet again, we have another engaging series from Tartakovsky.
Yes. And it's not one we thought we were going to like at first. We wanted to give it a chance because Tartakovsky made it. First episode, we were like, what the heck is this? It was so strange. It was a bunch of things at once, like on Culper. He's got fantasy, he's got steampunk, he's got science fiction, he's got mystical stuff, he's got some of everything in here. Like, is this all one show or multiple shows at once?
Now, interestingly, I've read that it took him 20 years to get this series made.
Oh, literally. So when they said a lifetime in the making, they meant it.
He pitched it to various studios. No one wanted it, and was eventually picked up by Cartoon Network and HBO Max.
Wow.
And
Okay.
produced by Cartoon Network Studios, which no longer exists now.
Right.
So I guess it's their last formal series.
Right. So, which kind of makes you think the way this ends, which we'll get to, you kind of wonder if this is getting a second season. You don't know where it's going to be at because the studio's gone now. So we'll see when we get to it.
Yeah.
So for here, he said these warriors' souls are put in different bodies of other warriors throughout centuries. So this evil entity has been around for literally centuries. And at this point, they're practically immortal. And it takes a form of different things each time. Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's an animal, sometimes it's just a blue ball of energy. And in this one, it took the form of a nine-tailed fox, which looked like an Anthro-Southern Belle fox. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, who designed that one? And for this time, surprisingly, they didn't have it take place in modern day or the future. It actually takes place in, I believe, the either 1800s or 1900s. 1800s? Okay, yeah. 1800s, which was actually something different because usually when they've been traveling all this time, they get to today. But they actually stopped way sooner rather than later. So that was something different. And the robot Copernicus has the souls within him and supposed to pick a body that's supposed to go into. And usually the people already know and they allow it in and they let them take over until they defeat them.
1890. And you know it's the 1800s because it takes place in steampunk, right before the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
Steampunk is kind of inspired by when they have these shows, because it's right before you had the Industrial Revolution, everything took off.
Right. You're correct. Thank you. So for here, Copernicus is supposed to get these different people and then put each warrior's spirits into the bodies. And unfortunately, this time it seemed like something had gone wrong. And at first you're thinking that it's one of those things like with Nico and the Sword of Light where, okay, they weren't in the bodies people expected, but they were still chosen. No, they tell you they actually are in the wrong bodies because everything kind of goes wrong for them and they can't think straight, they can't move around right, and then you actually end up seeing later the two people that were meant to be the vessels for them and they were wondering why hadn't anything happened. So it actually is a case of the wrong person got the power, but they have to still work with what they're given to defeat the evil. So it's actually something really different.
And it happens that the character's name is Emma Fairfax, and it happens at her wedding.
The worst possible time other than someone having given birth. Alright, why?
So, the voice, not familiar with Hazel Dope, but that's who does the voice as an adult. But as original Melinda is Grey Delisle.
Right. And actually, aside from Grey Delisle, maybe one other voice, majority of these other people in here, we have no idea who they are. They may have been in other projects or shows or movies, but we have no idea who they are. So this is like
If
whole
you do,
new.
let us know in the comments below.
Right. So to us, it's like a brand new voice talent cast. They actually end up working well anyway because you weren't relying on who the star is to play the character.
True. So you know the story itself, as well as the series, was very strong and fared very well. Because for what we could see on Twitter, it was well received.
Right. And for here, like you said, for Emma, it goes off at her wedding. I think that's hilarious in a way. And when she gets the spirit, she ends up becoming an entirely different person where she's neither Emma nor, what was the woman's name? Miriam? Melinda, thank you. Melinda, she's like a whole third person entirely, and she has no memory of what happened with either spirit, and you kind of go through her to find out what the story is and why they've been accidentally chosen to do this.
And what's funny is Grey Delisle also voices the Ninetale.
Right? So she's a villain in the
Way,
hero.
yeah, she voices her. And then you have that character that's the cosmic monk that looks like a kid. Alfie.
Yes, Alfie, you're right. And he was supposed to go into another monk, but he went into this, I guess like almost like newsy type boy. But they have those little kid gangs back in those times. He actually goes into that body instead. So he ends up being kind of out there and like, oh, I can see this, I can see everything, and this, that, and the other, and it's like he has trouble focusing.
And you have a Merlin in here as well.
Yes, a Merlin. And almost like he was going to be evil, but he wasn't, thank goodness.
Right.
And it took a while for him to come in because you weren't even sure if he was still alive, but since it's Merlin, they actually kept him alive throughout the season.
And then the character, I guess you could say the male counterpart, who also ended up in hosting the soul of Edred the Elf Warrior. His name was Dimitri Dynamo.
Yeah.
He's the blue elf.
Right. And yes, this is all still real. It's all the same show. And ironically enough, his looked the most normal out of all the accidental choices. Hers looked off because she was small. The monk's was off because he was a little kid. The elf actually had the most sane choice. And considering how he looked like he was anime, I thought that was hilarious. And another unique thing about this show is that, describing with how the characters look, this world I think is based off of the designs for when they were supposed to do a Popeye the Sailor Man movie a long time ago when they got canceled for the Emoji Movie, and clearly they made a great choice in that. So with here, what's funny is when you see the warriors, they look one way, but then you get to these people and the regular humans, and they have this really cartoony looking design about them. They look like they're all from the Popeye cartoons, and they're really cutesy looking, they're cartoonish looking, they're really fluidly animated like an old comic strip.
She also looks like Betty Boop. I see
Right.
people say she looks like Betty Boop.
Right. And then you have the warriors who are anime looking and they're serious and they look normal, and then you got these cartoonish looking characters, so when they end up in the body of these other humans, they end up taking a more cartoonish form because he looks way different in his own body. Then he went into the person's body and he ended up looking like he was a caricature.
And then we meet his brother.
Yes.
And then there's a plot twist there. I can't tell you.
Right.
I spoiled it. But he meets his brother. He's like a buff version of him.
And I was like, did they really do this? And as the show goes on, like I said, there's fantasy, steampunk, science fiction, cosmic entities and everything. There's just like literally some of everything. Someone turns into a werewolf in here. There's literally almost everything in this series. And at first we were so taken aback, like, what the heck is going on? There's too many things in here. I can't tell what the heck's going on. And as we're saying that, we're going to the next episode. You're going to see what happens next. Somehow it was still enjoyable to watch.
Yes, it works, even though when you're watching it, you're reminded of other shows he's done, including Symbiotic Titan.
Right.
But it works. And
Right.
you're not looking at it going, oh, you just copied. He didn't.
Right.
See those elements that are taken from other shows he created, so he can borrow from himself.
Right.
And it actually works, and it ends up being interesting. If the game, like we mentioned, at first it's kind of like, what the heck? But after you begin watching, after about 2 episodes, you really get into it, and it ends up really being a crazy and enjoyable ride in terms of having a different type of story.
Right. And the way it ends, it doesn't even feel like it's the season finale. I think this was meant to be longer, and they cut it in half. Like, maybe it was meant to be 20 episodes, because the way it ends, the entity is getting really powerful, and they're to a point where you don't know what time period they are in anymore. And it sort of just ends right there. Now, I can't tell you what happens leading up to it, because there's a lot of twists and turns. But the way it ends, it feels like there should have been more to the story in the season.
Right.
But now that Cartoon Network Studios is gone, we don't know who's going to continue it, if they even continue it. Is it going to be Adult Swim and move it there? Is it going to be another studio entirely in the namesake of Cartoon Network Studios? Or they decided, okay, we're just going to cancel the show and let it go since the studio's gone. And I really hope that doesn't happen, because I'm sure this guy is tired of all his shows getting canceled when he's getting towards the end of a story and they up and end it.
And especially when he has a lot of support from fans who really are loving the concept and the series itself.
Right.
Yeah, that's got to be really frustrating.
Right.
So if you've watched Unicorn Warriors Eternal, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was meh? Did it remind you a lot of his other series? Let us know what you think. If you haven't seen it, they're rerunning this show over and over right now on Cartoon Network.
Right.
For free, or you probably can go to HBO Max and watch it if you already pay for streaming.
Right.
But if you haven't seen it, you really got to check it out. You're missing out on, again, something that's very different from Tartakovsky. He's great at giving us things that you just never would have thought of seeing together, and concepts that are really unique.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and videos of your favorite anime series, animated shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you so much. Thank you for your support. If you want us to check out your channel, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. So, I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man. Who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams. She was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket.